Hello everyone, welcome again to my channel. First of all, thanks a lot for submitting your vote to learn new things. As per the poll that we had last month, we found that many of you are eagerly waiting to learn Salesforce billing, right? So here's the first step toward learning Salesforce billing. Today we are going to learn few things about Salesforce billing. Okay, so here is the agenda. We're going to see what is billing. Then we are going to see is what is Salesforce billing, what it can do. Then we'll see how end-to-end things are structured, right? What are the things covered in Salesforce billing? And then we'll see the very first part, which is setting up an accounting. Okay, let's move forward and we'll talk about more. So first of all, the main thing is what is billing, right? So the billing is a way to record following things. Which thing? The first thing is sell of product that you have sell, right? It will be required, like CPQ will be required for the billing, right? So sell of the product. Tax for the product being sold, right? Whenever we sell some product, we'll always pay tax, right? So taxation will be applied. Then invoices, right? Invoices will be created from billing itself. Then revenue recognized to the sale, like when we sell our product, we'll have some revenue, right? So that will be done in the billing. Then of course we'll record the payment as well, and credit note if there goes something that we owe to customer, right? Now, what is Salesforce billing? Okay. So, Salesforce billing is a software which provides the functionality to record details for the following on digital platform. Right? We are not talking about books, we are talking about digital platform. So, the very first thing is taxation, as we talked about, right? Salesforce billing can record this taxation, that can apply the taxes as well. Others is revenue recognition. Again, our revenue which got recognized can be stored in Salesforce billing or can be calculated using Salesforce billing. Invoicing. Invoices can also be generated. Payments can also be recorded, right? And it will be logged again invoices. Then credit notes can be created, right? So if something you owes to customer, that can again get recorded into credit note. And at the end of everything, we're gonna record those stuff like whether we have credit note, what payment we got, what invoice line got created, how much revenue got recognized. All the things will be logged into our finance books. And we used to have our finance book a year per year. Like if you compare the if you talk about the financial year, right? We're gonna record our finance book. So all this stuff will be logged again our finance book. Okay? So that can be done also using Salesforce billing. So now let's see end to end what comes into end to end Salesforce billing. The very first thing is setting up an accounting. So very first thing that you have to do to implement Salesforce billing is to set up your accounting, right? If you have finance book, you have to set the finance book, you have to provide the general ledgers account, then you have to define the tax rate, then you have to define the legal entities as well. These things we're gonna cover later on in the slide, but you have to define this stuff, right? Then you have to define the rules and treatment, how you want to treat the invoices, right? How you want to treat the product line. That can be defined over here. Then types of billing, which how many types of billing that we can have, right? Which type of billing is customer gonna use, which type of billing we wanna have, right? So that can be again recording. And at last we're gonna have invoicing and payment, including credit note as well. So out of this, we're gonna say see setting up accounting today. Okay. So setting up an accounting. So account setup is a preliminary thing required before starting to use Salesforce billing because that is a preliminary thing, right? As we talked about, that should be present before we start using, right? And what it includes legal entity creation, it includes finance book, it includes finance period, it includes GL account and tax rates. Okay? So these are the things included in setting up the accounting. Now let's see what is legal entity. So legal entity refers to the way how a company is structured. Right? Consider there is a company, right? It is having more than one branches of the company in different cities, right? So those branches of the company are available in different state or different cities are called legal entity. Let's say consider India. A company is there, its entity is available in Gujarat, its entity is available in Maharashtra, right? So those both are called legal entities. Okay? Now I hope you understand what is legal entity. The legal entity is center of billing. Okay, so everything in Salesforce billing, whether it's a tax calculation, whether it's billing preference, whether it's a billing rule bill association, whether it's a GL entries being creation, revenue recognition, everything depends on legal entity. Okay? So make sure you understand this. Now, legal entity record relates to the following in the system as we talked about. It relates with billing, it relates with taxation, it relates with revenue recognition, okay? And it relates to general ledger treatment as well, as we talked about. Okay? So that is what legal entity was. Let me show you what legal entities can cover. So I'm on my legal entity tab. I have created a legal entity called Ahmedabad entity, which can contain following things like a street address if you want to store. I haven't provided any as of now. So then it contains city, in which city it is, state, country, and the zip code. Okay, that we can provide. We don't have anything like county in India, so we haven't provided it. Otherwise, we can provide that as well. So this defines which legal entity we gonna use and what is the location or address of the legal entity where the company is there. Okay, so that is the very first thing. Now, talking about what are finance book or what is finance book. So finance books are used to record financial transaction which can include following things. What things? Invoice line, payment allocation, credit note line, and revenue schedule. Okay. Now the very first thing is finance book are not directly related to this object line or record. It will be allocated using finance period, but we're gonna see later in the next slide what finance periods are. Finance books can be created monthly or for a custom period of time, right? So let's say you are going to sell something in the year of 2023, right? Then you will have a finance book of 2023 in which you will record all the financial transaction like an invoice line, if you have created a payment, if you have created a credit note, right? What revenue got generated for this particular year, those will be stored in finance book, right? Those will be logged across a financial book, right? So that is what finance book is. Let me show you where we can create a finance book. So I am on the finance book tab. I'll click over here and I'll, let's say name is FY 2023. So we're gonna create it for financial year 2023. That is what I name it as of now. Okay. Whether it's a revenue type of book or accounting type of book, whether it is related to revenue schedules or related to accounting purpose. I'll select accounting, and finance period duration is monthly. I'll set it monthly as of now. So this is how we set finance book. Now this is not enough, right? Because where do we log these steps, right? So for that we have finance period. Okay. So finance periods are typically a record created under finance books based on the finance period duration that we provide. Okay. If the finance book is having monthly finance period duration, then it will create one finance period each month, right? Because it's a monthly one, right? So for each month in the financial year, it will get created. All the transactions like invoice line item, payment allocation, revenue schedule, credit memo lines will be recorded within the finance period along with the finance book. So all these lines, invoice line, payment allocation line, revenue schedule line, credit memo line, all those have a lookup to finance period, right? And based on that, it will get associated with particular finance period. And from that, we'll get to know like in which month, how many invoice line we have, how many payment allocation we got, how many revenue schedule got created, and how many credit memo lines that got created for that particular month in which finance book. Okay. So let's see how can we create finance period. So I am on finance book that we created, and there is something called create finance period. But before that, I want you to see there is no finance period available over here. Right? So let's say I'm gonna create a finance period. Now it is monthly. Okay, we have selected it monthly. Now in a year, how many finance period will be there? Like 12. The start date will be 1st of February. Let's consider 1st of January in our case because it will be the ideal thing. And now legal entity to associate, right? This, as we talked about, this is the preliminary thing, or this is the center of everything. So we have to select for which legal entity this finance period is, because legal entity wise we can have different finance books and finance period. Okay. As soon as I hit submit, it will create 12 finance period for 2023 financial year. So I'll hit submit, and you see we have got this created, right? The start date is 1st of January 23. For the second one, the start date is 1st of January, February 23, and so on. And now if I go over here, we'll see all this data. Right? So this is how your finance period gets created, right? Start date, end date, we all have this. Okay. Now talking about what is GL account. So now consider before software were there, right? Or software came in. Before that, how were we managing our accounting? We were recording it on the paper, right? Okay. So that is on the paper. What we were doing is in simple accounting, we were managing a ledger account, right? For each and every individual entity. And this is what GL accounts are, right? GL accounts refer to the general ledger account. Okay. So GL accounts are the way in which we can record the accounting journal entries for a journal ledger. Okay. We can set the credit GL account and debit GL account to record each ledger entry, and this will actually come into GL rule when we comes up in the next session. I guess we'll study a GL rule, and then we can use this GL account. But quickly giving you the idea about like how general ledgers we were creating when we were doing it on paper. We were let's say we are selling something, right? So some amount is coming for us, right? Okay, and we are selling some item, right? So something that we are getting, something that we are giving, right? So that credit GL and debit GL, right? That are two entity. First entity is mine and second entity is a customer, right? So that can be recorded into GL rule. Okay, so that is where this GL account comes into picture, and we'll study more. It only records GL account name and GL account number, nothing else. Okay, it only stores this thing. The other things will be created into or come into picture when we create a GL rule. But how can we create a GL account? Let me just show it to you. I am on GL account tab and click new, and let's say test, or let me provide ECME Corporation, and let's say the account number is AGGHJ12345. Notes if we want to add, account description if we want to add, and let's save it. Yeah? There is nothing else that we have to do, right? This is the only information that we contain on GL account. We'll listen to this, or we'll explain, or we'll get more information when we cover GL rule, but this is how GL account is set up. That's enough for us as of now. Rest of the other things can be managed using GL rule and GL treatment, as I said. Okay. Now what is tax rate? Okay. So whenever we are selling something, we always have taxation, right? Then for that taxation, we have to define our tax rates as well, right? Somewhere. So this is what is needed before starting to use billing. Tax rates should be defined. So what is tax rate? Tax rate refers to the tax that is going to be applied when a particular item is being sold to a particular location. Location means a legal entity. Okay. Whenever we are selling something, let's say we are selling something in the northern part, right? We are having some taxes, right? Let's say 10%. If we are selling into southern part, right? 12% taxes are there, right? So for both of them, tax rates are different, and for both of them, the legal entities are also different, right? So These tax rates are tied up with the legal entity. Right? While defining a tax rate, we can populate following thing: the tax identifier, address information that we always need, tax code that we want to have, a rate, and priority, and obviously legal entity because it's being related to the legal entity. Let's see about the tax rate. Let me see if I have already added or okay. So now I'm adding a new text. So it is Ahmedabad taxation. Okay. Now I'm providing city as Ahmedabad, zip code as 380058, rate as 10%, code as 12345. If you want to add, we can add, otherwise we can skip it. Country, let's say I'm selecting India. Legal entity, I'm selecting Ahmedabad legal entity. Priority, I'm putting it 1. Okay. So I'm just saving this. Now, the main thing is if you are creating a tax rate, it should have the same address information or right the least information, right? Let's say if you provide city, zip code, and India, right? So this information must be there on legal entity as well, right? So this is necessary, like both the legal entity's address and tax rates address both must be same and the rates are defined, right? And based on this only the billing will work. So make sure you provide the same address on both of them. Okay. Or you can have something like that, like you can create a tax rate, don't populate city as Ahmedabad, but on legal entity, uh, my bad. So you can provide Ahmedabad as a city, but on legal entity, you haven't provided this, right? So that should work because Gujarat and India is matching over here, so tax rate will be calculated. Okay, but that kind of thing must be there. That is how tax rate gets calculated. And I guess that is all for today. Thank you very much. I hope you will get more learning from this. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. And we'll be coming ahead with a new video in which we'll see about the rules and treatment. Thank you very much.